Hey guys, this is dclaiche, and today I'm going to be making a video where I go through all of the main speed cubes that I've ever had, and for this video I'm going to be doing specifically 3x3. Unfortunately, I don't own all of the speed cubes that I've ever used because I gave one of them away to a friend of mine, and I think that the other one was stolen at a comp, so yeah, unfortunately I don't have all of them with me, but I will describe them as well as all the other cubes that I have. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. So my first ever speed cube, which I got, oh gosh, about almost 11 years ago, is this Rubiks store-bought cube. It's also the first cube that I ever solved, and as you can see, this thing has been thoroughly beat to death, especially on the orange side. It was not a particularly good Rubiks store-bought cube. It was very, very tight when I first got it, but of course, you know, I hadn't solved a cube yet, so I didn't really care exactly how the cube felt. And by the time I finally solved it, it was already pretty thoroughly broken in. So, as you can see, the stickers have been totally beat up, and I actually lost the center sticker right here. I have no idea where that actually went. But yeah, this is my first ever speed cube, and oh my goodness did I abuse this thing. Before I ever actually got CRC silicone spray to use as a lubricant, I actually put rub-on deodorant into this thing to use as a lube, which, if I remember it correctly, didn't do all that much. It probably made the cube worse. But yeah, that's what I did. But eventually I did get CRC. So yeah, obviously this is not a very good speed cube right now. One of the things that I have noticed is that, oh gosh, corner cutting is non-existent. But one of the things that I have noticed is that this side right here is actually significantly looser, the yellow side is, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. It might have something to do with the fact that, well, this is the side that I paid most attention to because, I don't know, it was the last side that I always solved, but, you know, I don't know why on this cube in particular it does that, since none of my other cubes did that. But yeah, this is my first ever speed cube, and yeah, it's I obviously don't use it anymore, but it's nice to be able to still own the first cube that I ever solved, so that's cool. So my next speed cube I got, I think, from Speed Cube Shop a long time ago, and it is the AlphaSix. Now, the Alpha 5 was a very popular speed cube. That was the cube that everybody wanted to get. But they had just released this cube, and I had watched PestFix review of the AlphaSix, and I thought, man, you know, it looks like it's probably better than the Alpha 5, and since I never owned an Alpha 5, I have no idea if it's true, but I certainly remember taking this cube out for the first time and just thinking it was absolutely amazing, and it was, and it really isn't anymore. I mean, the corner cutting on this thing is really subpar. One of the interesting things about it, though, is I think it actually does have, it's one of the first cubes to have the little diamonds right here that kind of sort of allows for reverse corner cutting. Not really, but it kind of sort of did. Unfortunately, I couldn't use this cube for very long because my cousin accidentally broke one of the corners off. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. And I've been trying to see if I can get a replacement because I really like the feel of this cube, and it would be nice to have a fully functioning one as a collector's item, but unfortunately, that is not the case. So yeah, my next main speed cube, I kind of took a break from cubing for a little while, and I didn't really get back into speed cubing until I actually did a project, a science fair project, that involved like lubrication, like which lubrication is actually the best for a Rubik's Cube, and I bought 3 cubes, 2 of which I turned into this Siamese cube, This one was the control cube. It had absolutely no lubricant in it whatsoever. This one had Vaseline in it. And then I had another one that I put CRC silicone spray into, and that cube actually ended up being my main speed cube for quite a while. I actually ended up getting sub 20 on it, certainly, but probably around, like, sub 18. I got around a 17-second average with that cube, which was pretty good for a Rubiks store-bought cube. And I ended up actually putting CubeSmith tiles on it, and I kind of wish I still had that cube. I gave it to a friend a long time ago. I'll have to contact her and see if she still has it, and if she still uses it. But yeah, and I actually used it as my one-handed cube in my first competition, so that's pretty cool. The next cube that I use as my main speed cube is this Fangun cube. Now, I could have just gotten a Zanchi, but I don't know. I heard that the Fangun was smoother, and I kind of wanted to check it out. And I also believe that it was cheaper. So yeah. It was the first cube that I ever got that could reverse corner cut. And I thought that was just absolutely amazing. And I was going to use this cube in my first ever competition until, while I was at the competition, I bought this cube. This is an actual Diane Sanchez. I have since put CubeSmith half-bright stickers on it. And it was with this cube that I actually placed third in 3x3 at my first ever competition. It's never happened again, and it probably isn't going to happen for a very long time, but that was one of my favorite memories in cubing, was podiuming at my first competition in 3x3, and with Anthony Brooks, no less. So yeah, that was really awesome, and it was this cube that I did it. Unfortunately, this cube has become rather loose. You know, you shake it around, and it becomes a maraca, and, you know, nobody likes cubes like that, so I eventually decided to move on and get the next best thing, which was the Fang Shi version 2. And I pretty much immediately changed the stickers out. I always really liked cubes with a nice bright blue, so I decided to get a nice bright blue for this cube. And this was my main speed cube for a very long time, and I believe it was with this cube that I actually got all the way down to like a 12-second average, which was really, really awesome. And I still pick this cube up every now and then and I play with it because it's got a really nice scratchy feel to it. So yeah, that was the Fang Shi version 2, and my next speed cube I don't have anymore. It was a Moyu Aolong version 2, which is a pretty good cube. I was somewhat skeptical of it when I first got it, though, because it wasn't a huge improvement over this cube. But, you know, I lubed it, and it soon became a much better cube. But it also became really loose really quickly, and this cube hadn't gone loose yet. So I reverted back to using this cube for a little while. And I also believe that my Aolong was stolen at some point, so there was that problem. And the next cube that I got was this Chi Thunderclap. Now, this cube was the cube that I used in my first 2 competitions that I did in Louisiana, which was Cajun Cube Clash 2016 and Cubalaya 2018. I went to Cajun Cube Clash 2017, but I didn't compete because I didn't meet the deadline in time. This cube is also really good. Like, when this cube came out, it was like everybody's favorite cube. You know, even some really, really fast people were using it as their main. And it was an incredibly cheap cube, too, so it was highly recommended as basically sort of the best thing to get. But it also went kind of loose after a little while. I mean, not really that it went loose, it became uncontrollable, and I didn't really have any lubes that would slow it down. So I ended up just, again, reverting back to my Fang Shi Shrine Ring V2. So yeah, this thing actually served me very well for a very long time, and I eventually got down to 10-second average using both of these cubes. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But I really cemented my 10-second average with this cube. This was the Thunderclap version 2. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the Thunderclap version 2 is an absolutely horrible cube. And granted, it's not nearly quite as good as the V1. But this particular one, I was able to make it tolerable. It still is pretty good, and I use it as my main for quite a while. And I basically cemented my 10-second average in competition and out of competition with this cube. But I also I started noticing a trend with all the cubes that I was getting. You know, they would last a while, but then they would loosen up and they'd become maracas. And I didn't really want that to happen with this cube, but I kind of figured if I kept using it long enough, then that would basically be inevitable. So what I decided to do is I decided to go ahead and get my first ever magnetic cube, which was this one. This is the MF3RS2M. Now this is actually a cosmic, not a cosmic, what is it? A Supernova, I think. Yeah, Supernova MF3RS2M. I got this from Speed Cube Shop, and my unboxing of it is still on YouTube. My first turns of it, I was absolutely blown away by how quiet it was. Since then, it's gone through a lot of changes. Right now, it's not exactly in the most optimal place. I still use it as a speed cube every now and then, just because it's a lot more. It allows me to be a lot rougher. So yeah, this basically blew everything out of the water for me. The first day I had it, I got my first ever sub 10 average of 5, and it was also with this cube that I got sub Ackersdyke, my first ever sub Ackersdyke solve. It was a 7.04 second solve, which I got that on vacation, and I just remember jumping all over the room. It's like, I got, after all these years, I got a sub Ackersdyke solve. And if you don't know what sub Ackersdyke means, it's basically anything below 7.08, because that was his world record, which is the last world record before Felix came in and basically blew everybody away. But yeah, it was with this cube that I got my first sub Ackersdyke solve. So yeah. And finally, we come to my current main speed cube, which I wasn't even really planning on ever getting, but this is the MF3RS3M, otherwise known as the RS3M. I got this from thecubicle.com, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know if this is going to become my main, and, you know, sometimes it's a little bit too uncontrollable for me, because, you know, the magnets are very, very weak, whereas the magnets in the RS2M are very, very strong, so, you know, sometimes I switch between these two. But I did eventually get my personal best time with this cube, which was a 6.67, I believe it was. I really should remember my own personal best. But it was my first ever 6-second solve, so that was awesome. And I still really like this cube. Currently, it is lubricated with Angstrom Gravitas and Dignitas, as well as a single drop of DNM37. So it's a little bit uncontrollable at times. So sometimes I just revert back to this cube, which I really need to clean out and re-lube, because right now it doesn't feel the best. But yeah, right now these are my two main speed cubes. I basically alternate between these two. So yeah, that is all the main speed cubes that I've had over the years. So yeah, all these have served me very well. Some of them for longer than others, but you know, I enjoyed using all of them, and I distinctly remember opening each one of them and just my first reactions to all of them, and you know, it's always fun getting a new main speed cube. So yeah, that's my video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please come back next time for another video for you from me. And this is dclaiche saying goodbye.